What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you by Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by AP. AP, Tyler's out hunting, but that's going to be fine. You know, a lot of people just want the info. They want the winners, and they're ready to spend some time with their family. So we're going to do a quick, efficient show today, but still give out a bunch of winners. But not all just info today. A little bit of small talk. Tell us about your Thanksgiving. How was it, and how did the slates treat you yesterday?
Yeah, Thanksgiving was good. The slates were okay for me. I was very happy.
I think we might have to switch. We're going to switch the audio.
Oh, okay. One second.
It came back. All right. So I enjoyed yesterday. No NBA, which was fun, which gives us 14 games for tonight. Did you switch it? Are we ready to go? You're muted.
Now I'm muted. All right. How's that?
Okay. Now you're coming in clear.
Coming in clear. All right. This Yeti, I gotta get it. Man, Fred, we've gone so many times and it's worked good, but today it's decided to not work for us. So that's unfortunate. But we are back on track. My Thanksgiving was good. It was nice. Saw family, ate a bunch of food, had a lot to drink. It was a good time. What about you?
Yeah, had a great time. Enjoyed the games yesterday, and I did enjoy the brief respite from the NBA. I do love the NBA, but the more I do it, just, doing the content and grinding it out, I do enjoy these days. I did enjoy the election day and yesterday, kind of being able to have a full day, just to kind of take stuff in, maybe listen to podcasts, not just constantly be handicapping games. But they said, hey, I hope you enjoyed the break because you have 14 games to break down tonight. So let's get right into it. Hold on. Bookmaker logged me out because I didn't scroll anything for 10 seconds while we switch shows. Of course, guys, we just finished talking touchdowns. I had Kurt and JC Zargo on that. Check out the YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. Of course, that content will be good until Sunday, but this content will only be good till about 7 p.m. tonight. AP, oh, wait, I'm wrong. 5 p.m. tonight is the first lock of the game, and that's Minnesota Timberwolves in Charlotte taking on the Hornets. Timberwolves were -5.5 when I was looking at this earlier. They're down to -5. Makes sense to me. Total of 228.5. I did some projections for this one earlier. I had this game by 5. My best bet for this game was something that you would love. I do like the over. I showed a slight edge to the over. 2 points over the total that they're hanging right now. Not a huge edge, though, on a huge slate. Not something I want to press. And this is a showdown, right, AP?
Yeah, so this is an island game, not on the main slate. I did not cap it fully like I do everything else that is on the main DFS slate. But I don't know, Fred. Like I kind of, these Hornet games without LaMelo Ball in there, I just don't trust the overs as much. Terry Rozier, yeah. I'm not saying he's like a slow-paced guy, but he is fine, walking it up in transition, playing half-court ball. And if you get poor offensive efficiency, that's just going to kill a big total like this one, 228. So I'm off this game, and I'm fine with that. We got 14 games tonight. I never feel good betting an under in a Wolves game either, because they get at any point in time they could just pour it on offensively, and whenever they do, it's like they never play defense. So I'm going to be off this one, and I feel good about it.
And just because AP and I haven't broken down this game in depth doesn't mean the Run Pure team hasn't. That's right. If you are a member, you head to the showdown section. You'll have a complete playbook. You'll still have core plays. And, if you're just, getting sick of some football by that time of the day, you can let those guys guide you to winners. But I know, AP, for the rest of the 13 games, you do have Travis in here. Tyler in line at Walmart playing COD with Kyler. He's out hunting, and Travis, that's why we're missing him today. But we're glad to see you in the chat, Travis, and I know you're getting ready to give out some winners tonight as well.
Have you ever been hunting?
No.
Not me either. And I live in Nebraska, and so when I tell people that, they're like, "Are you crazy?" Because that's like what people do here. They go out in the country, they hunt deer. That's the big thing here. Is it deer season? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. And they have their own little area that they own that they can go hunt on. So
do they really?
No.
That's awesome.
I like to go hiking, AP, and JT Hayes thinks I'm out there hunting people, but in reality, I'm just relaxing and enjoying the beautiful California scenery. So no, JT, nice. Keep your friends at the FBI off me. No murdering going on here. But hopefully we'll be murdering this slate tonight. The Philadelphia 76ers are +2. Why are they +2 against the Orlando Magic? Because nobody's playing. No Embiid, no Harden, no Maxey. Did not matter when I took them over the Brooklyn Nets, but we know, or well, maybe we don't know, but I know that superstar subtraction is a one-game bump. You take the original game as everybody's getting cited, but then what happens is, things get back to normal, and the wear and tear of the increased minutes on the reserves does not necessarily translate to that huge bump you get the first game. So I love giving it that night, but that's not a trend you play over and over with Embiid out. It's a one-game thing. We took advantage of it. But now I think the 76ers are properly rated. Still, and this is tough because, of course, when you're running numerical projections, you never know how much to really account for players being out. Are you doing it too much? Are you doing it too little? I had this game really close, which gave me a slight edge on the 76ers money line, but it's only +105, so that's not the hugest edge. Another one where, hey, if you're just having some fun, you want to play every game, the money line is where I would put you to, but it's not a huge edge here. But what do you think? Of course, this game should have plenty of DFS implications, and will you be betting it?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I actually am going to put a bet on this game. The superstar subtraction, you made such a good point. It is typically a one-game thing. Guys played hard. They played really hard, got that win against a fully healthy Nets team. Looked really incredible. They looked fine 2 days ago as well. But look, like D'Anthony Melton, Shake Milton, carrying this team, like Tobias, his offensive usage has gone up, but so has his price in DFS terms. But if he's not getting there raw points wise, he's just going to totally bust your lineup. So it's not like he's getting more assists or more rebounds, out there. So as far as DFS goes, I'm under on a guy like him, D'Anthony Melton, appropriately priced right now. Shake Milton is still the guy that I think you can target in DFS formats. Paul Reed, Montrezl Harrell, splitting minutes. We can move off them. They're both priced appropriately. Georges Niang, he's been incredible off the bench, but he continues to get into foul trouble. This guy makes the dumbest fouls ever. It's crazy. But betting-wise spread, man, long story short, I like the Magic here. I think they win big. They get Paulo back. And win big for the Magic means I think they win by 6 to 8 points, something like that. I think they cover, get the win against a very, very short-handed Philly team. That is going to get tired. You see it all the time, and I think, I don't think the adjustment made by the books is enough. I think with Paulo back, with Suggs in there, I really like this big lineup team that the Magic are going to throw out. They're going to play slower, too. We saw that the last time they went all big with Paulo in. It was a very slow game. They focused on defense, being efficient on the offensive side. So my lean is to the under. I still don't like betting any a total this low going under. I never feel good about that. But my lean is definitely the under, and then I like the Magic to win big here.
All right. And it's so funny, and I haven't done these numbers for a while, but the superstar subtraction definitely was a huge edge, 59% against the adjusted spread, right? So I'm not, not talking the CLV, right? But if it moved from +6.5 to +9.5 with Embiid out, you're on 58% there. Ran it for superstar addition, right? Times like tonight where Paulo's coming back in the lineup. It really means absolutely nothing. The fading the team with the team coming back hit at 51%, but against -110, that's still not an edge. In fact, you'll lose money trying to go against the 52.5% that you need. So superstar subtraction is something I really like. Superstar addition to me actually means absolutely nothing to the line and doesn't really change things at all. Although we do see teams that kind of struggle to reintegrate them. There's no real set trend that we could take advantage of. The Portland Trailblazers are +3.5 in New York, taking on the Knicks. Total of 218. I like the Blazers a lot better than the Knicks of the team, but situationally, I like the Knicks here. The Blazers they've been on a long road trip, and it feels like their results have gotten worse and worse on each stop. Then they spent, this little holiday time in New York. I'm sure they had a great time, and we know that New York, Miami, Los Angeles have these advantages of being places where the players enjoy being, right? Not like Minnesota where they spend a lot of time in their hotel room. So I like the Blazers more than the Knicks of the team, but because situationally I like the Knicks here tonight, laying the 3.5 on the total of 218. What are your thoughts on this one?
Man, all right. So Spread. We're starting off, I think, in different directions, but that's fine. That is,
All right.
we can't agree on it. We can't agree on everything. I do like your points. Okay, you make many good, very valid points. When I specifically look at this road trip they're on, tough one, man. You got Milwaukee, you got Cleveland. Obviously, 2 losses there. Played Milwaukee tough, played Cleveland tough for a bit, and then just got outplayed. Now New York, and then they finish with Brooklyn after that. When you look at those 4 games, I think they steal 1 out of the 4, even with Dame Lillard in there. And I think it could be tonight at the Garden. I think Anthony Simons, I have him having a big night. I love him in DraftKings. He's 7'6". You can play him at the point guard spot, shooting guard spot. This guy's a baller, tons of upside. I think he puts up a 50-piece DK points-wise. I think he puts up over 30 real points on this Knicks team that's been getting, kind of crushed by opposing point guards. They just haven't been as defensively sound, as a team. So I think it's going to be a fun game to target. And then you still got Nurkic, who he hasn't been his rotation's kind of frustrating. Could be a decent spot for him in tournaments, 6'8", if you get the minutes out of him. And then I do like Jeremy Grant and Josh Hart just as complementary pieces to keep this game close. But I got Portland upsetting the Knicks tonight in the Garden with Anthony Simons having a big night.
All right. He likes Simons, and I could see that because I think the day after these holidays, we always see a ton of upsets. I think this is really – I know it's fun, and we're going to break down all these games, but really this is a day that I do like to tread lightly because we have no idea what everybody did last night.
So for me, I don't like the Knicks, man. I just don't like.
I don't either, but they've been playing well.
I got you. Tibbs does get them to play hard. It's just like Julius Randle, like your best player, like Brunson.
I would say that Brunson's the best player now, right?
Yeah, but what's that saying? That's not really saying that much. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Give me the Blazers though, spread. I'm sure. We got many more games to break down. We're going to agree on some. I'm very confident with that.
All right. No. And it's fine. People get to see both sides of the story here. And like I said, this is a tough slate to navigate, and that's why we're here. We're talking through these games, and we're not saying we have a huge edge on every single game. But where you do find the huge edge is at runpuresports.com. Use that promo code Turkey50. The New Orleans Pelicans +2.5 in Memphis taking on the Grizzlies. This team's just faced recently in New Orleans with the Pelicans getting the better of them at home. And I felt like the home court meant a lot in that game as the Grizzlies were able to hang for about 3.5 quarters. But it felt like the Pelicans got hot at the right time, were buoyed by the crowd support, and were able to build a nice little lead that the Grizzlies could not surmount. Now they run it back, but it's in Memphis. And I think that the crowd could mean a lot here again tonight. Of course, these have been tough teams. By DFS perspective, they've got people moving in and out of the lineup, and we never know. Let me pull this one up right now because you can never talk about it. I remember there was some news that I was looking at this morning. CJ McCollum is the one that's the new one out of the lineup for us, AP. I think he just got COVID, if I read right or remember that's what I read. So he'll be out for 2 or 3 games. We know how big he's been to that key offense, but that should give us opportunities, right, with some of these other Pelicans players. How are you approaching this one from a betting perspective? And with McCollum out, is everyone going to be flocking to the Pelicans?
Yeah, so the Pelicans, man, really impressive team, 11-7 on the year right now, coming off nice wins over the Warriors and then at the Spurs to start a road trip. However, I think this series is going to be a battle of whoever's at home court. I think has the advantage. Like you said, the Grizzlies got the dub a few weeks ago when the Grizzlies were visiting. I think I'm going to side with Ja Morant here. And I know there's no Desmond Bane, but Jaren Jackson, he's starting to look good. I know the fact, like in DFS wise, I mean, you got to be worried about foul trouble here, especially against Zion. I mean, Jaren Jackson, like we talked about it all year, like this dude averaged what, like 5 fouls a game, like four and a half, 5. I mean, he was a walking foul. But if he stays out of foul trouble, God, he can put up buckets with the best of them. So I've always liked Jaren Jackson Jr. If he could just stay out of foul trouble, he's a guy that can just dominate there in the paint, playing as a stretch 4 or 5. The skill set is really nice. And I think he's fine, even like with Steven Adams there. I don't think it takes away from anything from him. But It's John Morant here. John Morant at home. The dude's just phenomenal. Hopefully he can limit Dylan Brooks' shot attempts. I think he does a good job at that when John Morant's playing. I think Memphis gets the win. I think it's a fun game, though. I could see this game going over the total as well. So it'll be a slight lean to the over, and then I'm more confident in the Memphis side. DFS-wise, Jose Alvarado, 3'8", point guard. Saw about 30 minutes last game. Have to think, like, when you look at his rotations, even before the game that CJ McCollum was out, his minutes were already trending up. So he was already a key staple guy off the bench. Now with McCollum out, they need ball handlers to help run this offense. Obviously when Ingram's in there, Zion, they can run through them. But, when one of those guys are off the court, that's where Alvarado comes in. And his defense, they're going to want his defense too for Ja, which, gosh, if you're a tournament player, maybe if Jose Alvarado is so focused on the defensive end of the ball, maybe it takes away from some of that offensive production. So here's how I tackle a situation like that, spread. Okay. I think he's a very good play. I'm playing 3 max tonight, the $200 3 max on DraftKings. I'm considering locking him, but I think the route, since there are going to be a lot of value options on the slate, my initial strategy right now is to have him in 2 of the 3. So I imagine I'll be maybe slightly over the field or in line with the field. And I'm fine with that, because I do think with all the other values out there, there are some paths to where maybe he just doesn't do enough to justify playing him, even though I think there's a high probability of that happening. So Jose Alvarado, John Morant, tournament play on the other side. You can look at Ingram. You can look at Zion. I think those guys are fine in tournaments. It's a monster slate. They're going to be very low owned, but I don't hate it.
All right, best way to approach that game. I like it, and feels like we finally found a lockstep here, right? We both like the Grizzlies at home, the grit and grind in the grindhouse. I think that helps the Grizzlies get the win. Here we go. The Brooklyn Nets -3.5 in Indiana, taking on the Pacers. Total of 233.5. AP, that's the highest total we've had so far. That's always fun from a DFS perspective. Tyrese Halliburton's been fun from a DFS perspective. Miles Turner been quietly living up to his price point as well. And then, of course, the Nets, you can never cross them off with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Royce O'Neal, right? The new DFS darling there of the Brooklyn Nets. I think this is a tough game. My projections like the Pacers, and I don't know what to do with this team situationally. As far as Brooklyn traveling, I wonder if they just stayed at home last night and they traveled today. I'm not exactly sure how that works there, because that is a flight that they could have made. So my projections like the Pacers, but I don't necessarily trust them, because I think this is just going to be a wacky day. What are your thoughts here?
Man, so all right, we are starting to get on the same page. We have to start realizing and understanding that teams treat this Nets team like you would when a world champ is, like the Warriors. Any team that the Warriors are going to go and play, they're going to get the bets from the other team because they are the champions. It's just how it is. I think the Nets is the same thing, because it's like, gosh, they look at this team, they look at all the like drama that's gone on with Kyrie, KD, Ben Simmons, all these players, all these other teams, they hear that stuff too. And gosh, I mean, they're kind of licking their chops, I think, when they go and play them. Now on paper, yeah, the Nets should win this game, but the Pacers have been good, man. Tyrese Halliburton, this guy's a baller. I mean, your Kings are playing good right now too, but it's like, gosh, did you really give this piece away? Like, all right, I got to sidetrack real quick. Who would you rather have, De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton?
Probably Fox.
Fox? Yeah.
It depends. It really depends. Tyrese probably has a better chance to be on a championship team.
Because he can distribute, he can play make, and he can defend. Yeah, Fox, maybe the better true scorer. Yeah, we saw Halliburton, like, he has a floor. He could make a shot to save his life against Minnesota, but he still put up 14 assists. I think he had like over 20 potential assists if you look at the advanced metrics in that game alone. So, I mean, the opportunity was even much more. But I like the Pacers here. I think we see a close game. I love this game in DFS formats. I think Nick Claxton at 5,200. I think he's priced at a point to where maybe he goes a little overlooked. I have him as like when I ran the stuff initially, like I'd not seen any ownership on him or not much at all. Maybe that will change throughout the day. When I ran the optimizer this morning, it wasn't popping up into much. When I bumped him up to the number that I think is appropriate, if he does get like 30 minutes, which should be his rotation, and then given this nice matchup against the Pacers, where he'll be able to get to the rim, man, I don't know. I think he could be a core play to build around. I even think you could play Ben Simmons and him. I think it's just a matchup thing that's really good for those two guys, and then run it back with Tyrese Halliburton. And then a slight lean to the over here too, 233 and a half. I like the over.
All right. Yeah. I like the over there too when I ran the numbers, and I thought the Pacers had a little bit of value here on the money line. See, plus 140 there. I know it's 3.5, right? But the Sixers were +2, plus 105. Is it plus 3.5, plus 140? That's a much better value there. If I'm betting this game, I'm taking the Pacers on the money line. Cleveland Cavaliers are also plus 3.5. They're in Milwaukee taking on the Bucks, total 216, plus 141. Giannis having problems at the free throw line again, also missing some of his supporting cast. I know Jrue Holiday's been back, but he hasn't looked 100%. And the Bucks struggle. Who's that against? Wasn't the Utah Jazz? Who did they lose to? They lost to Chicago Bulls on Wednesday night. That was a great performance, but really felt like Giannis could have used the help of Chris Middleton. I know that they've been doing great without him, but going against those teams with a bunch of really good scorers there, it's tough to keep up, and that was evident. They face that same conundrum tonight, right? Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, even Mobley's got some good post moves up there. So this team can put the basketball on the basket in a multitude of different ways. Bucks are laying 3.5. My numbers like the Bucks, but I don't think I've taken account their recent slump and maybe these free throw issues with Giannis enough. So I've laid off this game so far. Plus 141 there for the Cavaliers on the money line. I guess if you like Cleveland, you can argue that that's the way to go instead of just taking the points. But so far, this is stay away from me. Do you think I'm missing something here, AP?
So, man, Cleveland right now, I've won 4 games in a row. They got a nice, they got some nice mojo going, wins over the Hornets, Heat, Hawks, and Blazers. And now they go back to Deer District to play the Bucks again. They lost in their first go against them right before that Hornets game. So right before this little win streak, I think we're going to see a little motivated Cavaliers team. I think they play them tough. I mean, if you remember that game, I believe the Cavs were up at halftime, and I think it was Giannis had that huge third quarter and brought the Bucks back. And defensively, they made some adjustments and clamped down, I think, on Garland, Mitchell a little bit. I think the team went cold. But man, they got Jared Allen, they got Mobley, they got Mitchell, they got Garland. They defensively should be able to do enough to limit Giannis. And given Giannis's struggles at the free throw line, we've been more frustrated, especially visibly. You could tell. I like the Cavs here. I think that, again, we've been talking about it. We like upsets today, the day after, Thanksgiving always seems to be a little bit more volatile. So give me the Cavs here. I think they win on the road. I think, they do, like, man, Garland, Mitchell, just such a nasty backcourt. I mean, the Bucks do have Jrue Holiday back. That's going to help. Javon Carter, a good defender, but I think the difference is going to be in the front court with Mobley and Allen. I think they're going to limit those easy buckets there in the paint. So give me the Cavs, and I don't have a take on the total.
All right, yeah, and that's fair. I think totals are also going to be tough tonight, right? And you think, hey, does being hungover hurt the offense or help on defense?
Yeah,
and it seems like I've seen both.
Yeah, and on a 13-game slate, DFS-wide, this is a game I think you can cross off. You go watch it. I think it's going to be a great game to watch, but there's so many other good options. I don't think, like, I'd rather have Jokic over Giannis if we're spinning up. And then at the guard position, trying to decide between Mitchell and Garland, there's just so many other better options, I think, on this slate. So DFS-wise, I'm crossing the game off.
All right, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks in Houston taking on the Rockets. Hawks are laying 8 on the road here, total of 231.5. My numbers have this number right. I have this as an 8-point spread, but I just like the Rockets here. Just off the idea that I think we should home dogs is something that I'm targeting tonight, regardless of projections here. I think the Rockets have a good chance to keep this close, and I definitely think this will be a high-scoring game. I know we love our Friday overs, AP, and this is one that I circled. I thought you might be willing to join me on. 231.5 here. Give me the Rockets +8. Give me the over. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I mean, that's this is now we're getting into some upsets that so Clint Capella got downgraded to questionable with like dental pain or something like that. I mean, spread like, come on, like if this is the playoffs, like you're not, Clint Capella's playing if it's just like dental pain or whatever that he had done. It obviously seems like Capella gets rested. Now that's speculation on my part, just going off of the wording that we saw from the report. But that makes, Okongwu, our guy, he would get a huge bump and would become an incredible value. You already have Şengün out on the other side, which makes, I think, that's going to make Tari Eason really interesting at 4K. So this is where it gets interesting on this slate. KPJ has put up some monster games, 50, 53, 50 back-to-back. He's a volatile guy. He definitely has a floor, but the guy is finding his game. Looks good. If they upset the Hawks today, I think you want to have Kevin Porter Jr. in your pool or Jalen Green. I feel a little bit better about KPJ right now. But then I would look at guys like Tari Eason, maybe even KJ Martin. Jabari Smith is another that you could look at. They're going to have to run somewhat of a tight rotation. We're not playing Knicks. Usman. I don't know how to say his last name. I was mess it up, but I don't know if I'm going in. And then Bruno Fernando, I think, is still questionable too. So interesting game to target. I don't mind targeting one of the backcourt guys here. And then on the other side too, you can make the case for Trae Young. DeJounte Murray is struggling right now with his offensively. And so again, if you're a tournament player, which I think most of us are, the usage still looks good. Now we know with these type of players, what I tend to see is when their scoring is up, like with a guy like DeJounte, when his scoring is better, you usually see better numbers as far as like assists go, rebounds go. And that's just because the guy's, more aggressive. And usually if you're, hitting your shots, you're going to be more aggressive in the other aspects of your game. And so what I'm getting at is if you're a tournament player, I wouldn't X out DeJounte Murray. 9-1's a very, very attractive price tag. He put up 57 DK points in the same matchup earlier in the season. So you could definitely see it. Going to be a great game opportunity-wise for steals and blocks for a guy like DeJounte Murray. So when I'm looking at my three, he's going to be a guy that I consider one of my 3-max builds. He's going to be very, very, very low owned. And, I'm banking on a big game from him if I end up playing him.
All right. Sounds like a good plan there. The Chicago Bulls, -2.5 in Oklahoma City, taking on the Thunder. The Thunder were in a similar situation against Denver on Wednesday night. Looked like they were going to cover most of the game. Denver comes back to get it done. Total 232.5 here, +121 on the money line if you like the Thunder. Let me scroll up, see what I have this one projected at. Had it right about right. had the Bulls by 2. Projections did like the under here. Came in about 5 points lower. So I know we like our Friday night overs, but I didn't necessarily like this one. What did you think?
Yeah, so the Bulls, when they're all healthy, they're a tough team to target. You got Levine, you got Vucevic, you got DeRozan. The three main guys there as far as usage goes. Gosh, from a pricing standpoint, I like what they're doing. Like they got Levine right at this price tag that, like the optimizers are going to pull him in a little bit. And so I almost have to under project him slightly. DeRozan, I think it's going to be a matchup where he gets a lot of easy buckets right in the paint. He'll have that mid-range going. And then bigs have been a really good matchup against the Thunder for quite some time. With this game being in OKC, I think the game stays close. I think Shea on the other side, I think he's a phenomenal spend-up option. I think Giddey, if you're not playing Shea, is another guy that you can look at. I have less interest in the front court, like JRE. I don't know if he beats me, he beats me. not really a guy that that I play too much. If you have a good read on him, though, play him. So like how I look at this game, Vucevic, the price tag's interesting. I could see him paying off his tag in tournaments, but if you go that route, you're kind of going down like a mid-range type of build route to get different, where you're targeting a bunch of these guys in the mid-range. So I don't know if I'll get there. DeRozan would be the guy that I would have some interest in playing, and then it's Shea on the other side. The guy's incredible, and this is another good game. It's going to be a great game to watch tonight.
All right, yeah, that one should.
Give me the Thunder. I think the Thunder so the Bulls have been riding hot. Did you give a take on the side here? Like Chicago's coming off some really big wins. I think it's finally a letdown spot for Chicago.
Yeah, I think this was tough. I had this game really close. The biggest edge I had was there at the under. So I don't know. I guess I'm scared to take the Bulls after they look so good against Milwaukee. I did like them against Milwaukee, and they showed up and they played well. If Levine can look a little more explosive, I think I need to upgrade this team a little.
It's Fred. It's probably like a stay away, because one thing OKC is good at doing is keeping a game close and then letting it slip at the very end. So
yeah, I felt like they did that against Denver too. So maybe it's a little bit of recency bias creeping in. But you know what? You can afford to lay off games on slates like this, right? Because by the time we're done with the show and I have all the RPB tags in, my bet slip's going to be filled up regardless. So,
Fred, wouldn't it just be like it just makes sense with how variance goes for the Bulls to lose to the Magic and then beat the Celtics and the Bucks and then go in and lose to the Thunder? I mean, that's just how it goes, right?
Yeah, that's definitely how the NBA works. So, will not be surprised there. I don't necessarily love it. Don't necessarily even love that under. I can see both teams just kind of just standing around and letting the other teams do layups. Neither team necessarily that stout defensively. Speaking of not stout defensively, the Sacramento Kings, I got the little shirt on. They finally had their 7-game winning streak broken in Atlanta. Wasn't necessarily that surprised. That was a tough spot for them after that big win in Memphis. Now they've had a night off, but they had to face one of the NBA's best teams, the Boston Celtics. Minus 7.5 in AP. I had to shed a tear running projections. I got the Celtics winning by 10. I think the Celtics have an edge here. Do you think I'm underlooking my hometown heroes?
Man, the problem is going back to like Tatum seems like a guy who probably had a good time last night, got himself some nice food, had a few drinks. Who knows? He's been playing lights out. He's a guy that I was getting a lot of when I was running my initial builds this morning, just looking at the different value options that we have and kind of the lack of viable plays kind of in that small forward, power forward position that really stand out. So if we get a game, man, Tatum, he's showed a lot of upside. He definitely has a floor. So like you're paying almost $11K for him, and he's a guy that could get you 40. If you get 40 from your $11K player, I mean, that's going to most likely tank your lineups. So that's the one risk there. But then he also shows he can put up 66, 67. I think he has another 67 and another 60 piece game. So he definitely has the ceiling. The pace is going to be great. It's going to be a really good scoring environment. So I don't hate the idea of going there. I don't know, like your Kings are playing good. They look motivated. Could be a letdown spot here for Boston. I'm going to be, and I can't touch the total here. I mean, 239. I mean, I would want to say overs, but that's a big number for these two teams. If offensive efficiency isn't there, this game could go under in a hurry.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting, right? But two of the best offenses in the league, which is why we do have that 238.5 there. Washington Wizards plus 3.5 in Miami taking on the Heat, total 212.5. Miami Heat definitely struggling with injuries. Let me go review this real quick because, boy, I mean, it's just full. Monty Morris questionable, Bradley Beal questionable, Rui Hachimura questionable, Johnny Davis questionable, Caleb Martin doubtful, Bam Adebayo's in, one of the rare green things we see there, Jamal Cain questionable, Butler still out, Strus questionable, Hero questionable, Highsmith probable, Gabe Vincent questionable, Dwayne Dedmon questionable. This is a game that could change the slate, right, AP? I mean, we can talk all we want here, but it has the potential to be either a complete stay away or, right, the most value-laden game on the slate, depending on which way these Q tags go. Do you have an idea of what to expect from this game as far as who's in and how are you approaching it? And because we have to get ready for some of this news, right?
Yeah, so this is these teams just played, and actually this is going to be the third time they've played in like 8 days, which is something you don't see very often. I mean, once the playoffs get here, obviously you see that happen. But I always talk about it, like the situations where teams play, and not a direct back to back, but they play each other multiple times in a row, whether that be with rest or on a true back to back. It seems like the second game always plays funky. We always get it's like the coaches, are making some significant adjustments to either rotations or defensive schemes. It just seems like the games play a little tougher, a little worse for fantasy purposes. So I am going to be off of this game. I think the Heat get a win. Again, this Washington team, I don't trust it. But again, with those guys questionable, I mean, we could go right back to, I think it was Will Barton. I think he's the interesting guy. Denny and Will Barton are the two that would become values that you could target. I just don't trust Kyle Kuzma on a massive slate. Like if it was a smaller slate, it would be a different story for sure. But on a slate this big, I'm not paying A3 for him, even if he was like the only main guy there, just because I think Miami, how they play their style, they're going to clamp down on whoever the main guy is defensively and shut him down, make the other guys beat you. So I definitely a spot where we're waiting on news. If all of those guys are out again, we could go right back to a guy like Will Barton, who's 3-3. He's right in that small forward position, would allow us to spend up elsewhere. So not high on this game at all for DFS unless all of those Q tags guys get ruled out, and then we're re-looking at this situation, trying to find some value to force into our lineups.
All right, sounds like a plan. I just logged up all the RPB tags, and Bookmaker logged me out for inactivity, so I'm reloading them up right now and scrolling back down. The Los Angeles Lakers -2.5 in San Antonio, taking on the Spurs. Total of 232 here. With the way Anthony Davis is playing lately, you have to like the Lakers. I think that they found something. The issue is, I know that they're tanking there, but Pop hates the Lakers. I wouldn't be surprised if he just threw the tank out the window for this game, just because he just does not like this franchise. So that would be my only issue for going for the Spurs, is that maybe, my numbers are completely wrong because Pop will play his best rotations rather than subbing out the guys that are doing well in the fourth quarter. Still, I like the Lakers here just because AD Russ combo isn't that bad. I think the trio is absolutely terrible. But I think Russ and AD have been coexisting well. I think Russ knows to feed him, and he can just beat people off the dribble, and he's got that big guy down low to just drop passes to when everybody rotates him. Looks pretty good there on the Lakers side. I hate to say it as a Kings fan, but I think they have an edge here tonight. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think you broke this down really, really nicely. I think in addition to that, it looks like LeBron. I thought I saw or read something that he was projected to be back tonight. And he's been on the sideline all these games. Every time a timeout, he's going right up to AD. They're doing their little handshake, back and forth. AD's always going right up to LeBron. I do think AD's found something. LeBron sees that. I don't think LeBron's going to, coming off kind of the injury he is. Like we know LeBron, when he comes back, he usually comes back and wants like full workload. But I think it would be a mistake. Like, I think a guy like LeBron, no, I think he comes in and just feeds AD. So what I'm getting at, Spread, is no one's going to play Anthony Davis tonight at 10-9. The price tag is way too high. You got potentially LeBron coming back that takes away from him. However, does it really take away from him if AD stays the focal point on the offensive end of the court, and if he continues to have that defensive prowess that he's shown over the last few games? He's been an absolute beast there, like swatting away balls, fighting for rebounds. He's taken some tough spills and hasn't gone to the locker room. That's what I've been most impressed with. Any of those spills that he's taken recently in these games, like one recently was against the Suns. Back in the day, like he would have gone to the locker room and probably wouldn't have seen him again. That hasn't really been the case. So we should give AD a little bit more credit with how tough he's been this season. I think he's a phenomenal tournament play. I know we have Jokic, who's going to be a really, really good play on the slate, but there's plenty of value out there, especially at the guard position. There's no reason why you couldn't look at like a double spend up, center build to see if it works. It might not work, but it's definitely going to be something that I look at. If I had to decide between the two in Jokic versus AD, it would definitely be Jokic. But I still think you can make a good case for AD here, even if LeBron plays, assuming LeBron just feeds him, which I think would make the most sense. I got the Lakers here. I agree with you. The mojo, they seem to be finding something. I thought they were live. If LeBron would have played against the Suns, I like them as a dog in that matchup with no Chris Paul, obviously for the Suns. But LeBron didn't play. They were competitive the entire game. So I think they come into San Antonio and get a big win here.
All right. Yeah, we're both in alignment on the Los Angeles Lakers there. 3 games left. RunPureSports.com.
Spread. Give me Lonnie Walker as a tournament play, too, at the small forward position, 5,200. Little revenge, former team in San Antonio, going up against his, former guys. So Lonnie Walker in tournaments.
All right. Just finished all the projections there on the playbook to make sure we're giving out the proper information here. Guys, no props today with Tyler on vacation. We'll be taking care of those tomorrow and Sunday, but just projections. But do you see all the RPB tags? You'll have plenty of action. So make sure you head on over to runpuresports.com. If you're not a member, promo code Turkey50. If you are, go to the bets page, NBA playbook. I just counted. I have 9 RPB tags today. So you'll have plenty of action, even without the props and the performance doubles on the sheet today. Let's talk about the Pistons. 2 road wins as double-digit dogs, AP. I faded them both times. The Pistons have been finding something. They had not won a road game this year. Then they win road in Utah and in Denver, two of the toughest places to play in the NBA. But I think the little honeymoon ends here in Phoenix tonight as this road trip continues. But the Suns are laying 12, right? So, hey, minus 726 on the money line for the reason. My numbers like the Suns, but right, they talk about the law of diminishing returns when these spreads get higher and higher because the way that the end of the game is going to play out, you're not necessarily projecting the full 48 minutes. If it does play to the script, right, where I think I have it a 16-point game, well, that also means that I'm getting 5 minutes that I can't really project accurately, right? If the Suns pull their starters, Pistons might not necessarily either because they want their young guys to get some run here. So it's tough to project if you do have that blowout script. One thing we know, though, is if you do like the same blowout script that I have, AP, you can kind of cross this one off. Would you agree there?
Yeah. So, with Jaden Ivey questionable, like you got Hamidou Diallo questionable. He's been a key role player. A lot of these games have been on the heels of like big performances from Kevin Knox off the bench.
Yeah.
Like, can we really expect Kevin Knox to continue what he's been doing? No, we can't do that. So the problem, and you alluded to it, is in these spots when a team like the Pistons, who have been playing good on the road, come in and their guys aren't like hitting all the shots they have been. And if you get like a key guy like Jaden Ivey out, I thought Alec Burks was questionable too.
He's been huge in that run. You know what? I think he's the reason they've been so much better. I don't see him on the report at all, though. So I thought he was
Alec
playing.
Burks. Oh, maybe he is playing.
So
he's the definition.
Hayes, Corey Joseph, Diallo, and Ivy are all questionable, though.
Yeah, I mean, Alec Burks, just talked about it. Like, if I'm a team and like he's your regular season, like the guy you want running the second unit, the guy can get buckets, he can distribute if you need to, but he can create too, which is what you want in your second unit. But man, the Pistons for me, easy fade. Dwayne Casey just like, God, the rotations are so tough. Like Marvin Bagley, I've been playing him from time to time. I mean, he put up 33 against Utah. He only played 20 minutes. I mean, like Casey is limiting his minutes. Like he's been productive. He's been highly efficient.
Because his defense is bad.
Yeah, his defense. Yeah. So, but a matchup here against, it's not like DeAndre Ayton is that. Like he's not the most aggressive guy offensively. So maybe who knows? Jalen Duren, he's been the better defender too, but
he's good.
I don't trust. Yeah, I don't trust the rotations here, so I'm going to be off of the Pistons. And then I actually like Campaign. He is going to be a guy that flies under the radar on DraftKings, and I see this being a good spot for him. He struggled from the field against the Lakers, but before that, he was running really good. He's a guy that has shown 45 plus upside, and at 7'3", He's going to be very, very low owned on DraftKings. I could see him having a big game here.
Utah Jazz +8 in Golden State taking on the Warriors. Total, I think it's the highest one we have, AP, 239.5 plus 269. If you like the Jazz on the money line, I do not. The Warriors have been absolutely fantastic at home, and I think we'll get better performances from their bench players tonight. The Jazz, you know what? If they would have had that little run in the middle of the season after a slow start, I don't think we'd even pay attention because it happened in the beginning of the year. And it's the only input we have for all our models. I have a feeling that they're regressing back to the team that we expected to be. Hey, hard fighting, scrappy team that if you overlook them, can do things against you. But if you focus on this team, they are beatable. I think the Warriors will be focused tonight. We know that they are in trouble after that poor road trip, but we know how much better they are at home. Still, I'm not laying the 8. I felt like they did a good job making the numbers. If you look on the projections, they'll tell you to play the Warriors. We have a lean tag there, not an RPB tag, because I just feel like it's far enough out to where the Jazz could never really feel like they're in, the Warriors can never feel like they're in danger of losing this game, but the Jazz can still cover, right? It's sitting around 10, 12 the whole time, and they go on a little run right at the end to cover that. So I stayed off the game. The total 239.5 has to attract you, or the fact that both teams are relatively full strength scare you away there, AP?
Well, I wonder if the kind of honeymoon phase of the season is coming to an end for this Jazz team. They're 12-8, but over their last few games, they are 2-5, and that's going to be 2-6 tonight. You wonder if they start to regress a little bit and become the team that we all thought they were going to be, starting with a loss to the Warriors tonight. I will say, we're going to have some really, really good pieces here for fantasy purposes. Jordan Clarkson, you can go to him. Colin Sexton, 4-6. He's going to get a lot of minutes tonight. And then you have guys like Malik Beasley off the bench who have been highly productive. These guys, like a guy like Beasley, has been one of the reasons why they've been so good and so competitive in some of these games recently. And then a 239 total. If this goes over, you're going to want pieces from it. Steph Curry, obviously, like he should be up there in the MVP consideration. I think he's been incredible all season long. Mm-hmm. He's been carrying this Warriors team. Klay Thompson seemed to have found something too. So I like the Splash Bros here. I think Wiggins is also fine at 6'4". The price tag feels too cheap. And then you can play Sexton. You can play Clarkson. You can play Malik Beasley at the small forward spot. And in tournaments, I even think you can play Lord. So going to be a great game environment, a great one to target for DFS, as long as the Jazz keep this one close.
All right, late night hammer potential there with the Jazz and the Warriors. How about this one, AP? The last game on the slate. This one will tip off at 10:40 Eastern time, so the definition of the late night hammer. Nuggets -3, total 218 here. Clippers are +3. I like the Clippers here. I think they're at home, and I know they're missing some of their top players, but it just seems like a nice lit down spot for a Nuggets team who, I'll be honest, was not that impressive. They got people coming in and out of the lineup, and they're pretty much Jokic or bust when it comes to the offense. I don't think they're going to be able to handle the depth of the Clippers tonight. I think the Clippers will have a huge advantage in all the minutes of Jokic is on the bench, and I don't think the Nuggets will be able to overcome that. So I like the Clippers +3. Also like the over here. Don't expect to see too much defense from either team. I think this total is about 3 points too low. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is what, like Jokic. I mean, this is why we like him. I think he was at like mid-20s. I think last game against OKC at halftime, and then they were like OKC was right in the game there. They're winning at halftime. Denver was up big. OKC fought back. And then it was Jokic, had to play the whole fourth quarter. Went off for like 24 DK points in the fourth quarter. Then they got overtime too. So I mean, these are the prime Jokic spots that we want, where we know the Nuggets aren't going to blow a team out, and the Jokic is going to have to play big minutes. We want him when he's going to have to be aggressive offensively. So like Jamal Murray's been bad. KCP is what he is. MPJ's been bad. This team is Jokic and Bruce Brown right now. So those are the two main guys. And then on the Clippers side, if they do keep it close, it's not like the Nuggets play at a slow pace at all. If anything, it should be a slight uptick for this Clippers team. you have some viable options. Amir Coffey, he's 3-2. I think he's going to get minutes here. Terrence Mann, 3-8. He's going to be a fine option. You got my guy, Norman Powell, off the bench. Storm and Norman, 4.7K. I'm going to be – we know Denver always struggles against wings. I think Norm is set up for a big game. And he's going to be low owned because he comes off the bench. And people – we're going to be in Discord. Late at night, people drunk. Did Norman get hurt? No, he hasn't even entered the game yet. He comes off the bench. So I like this spot. I think Marcus Morris is kind of sneaky too, in that mid range. Look at who the Clippers had. They Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, Marcus Morris, Zubac, Norman Powell, John Wall. Then you got Nick Batum, and then you got has Rocco even played? Robert Covington.
He's had some minutes here or there, but he's definitely struggling to find his place in that rotation because they're so wing heavy.
Yeah, I know Ty Lue hasn't had the best rotations of late. It's been kind of frustrating. He's a good coach, obviously, but man, it seems like we should have a tight rotation here. The prices are all extremely favorable. No one on the Clippers side is priced above 7K. So, I mean, there's going to be plays here. I think it's going to be a good spot to target, and it could be under-owned with this being like the lone late game hammer.
All right, and there you have it. That's your late night hammer, and we made it through the full 14 games. That's right, but we're not done yet. It's time for the best bets. AP, start with you. Side, total, or prop, best bet for this Friday night.
Yeah, we got to go with the side, and I lost my note on which one. I think I was going with it had to be an upset. It's the Pacers, and I want the money line. I think they win the game. If you want, take the points. I don't need the points. Give them to someone else, as we often say. Give me Halliburton. Give me Miles Turner. Buddy Hield, finally. I think he comes back, has a big game. Maybe even Mathurin off the bench. I think the Pacers get it done here against the Nets.
All right, and I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies. I like them to get some revenge at home against the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they'll be a much better team, and I think it definitely helped for this team when the Pelicans got that win, the home court. I think it flips tonight. That gives the Grizzlies the edge. Huge night for Ja Morant as well. So there you have it. There is the NBA rundown here for the holidays. We don't take days off at Run Pure, and the content will continue. That's right. Of course, we have the Hardwood Show going live at 4:45 Eastern. Then the Up to Lock Show, where you can take care of all the news, especially the Heat Wizards game, because let's see how much that changes the slate. But there you have it, AP. Glad to hear that you had a good holiday. Glad to be able to spend some time with you today. Do you have any words of wisdom for the people before we sign off?
Yeah, make sure to get, full agenda for us today. We got our normal crew on the Hardwood Show coming up, and then it's going to be me, JSU, and Big T on the Up to Lock Show. So it's the holidays, but man, no days off, like you said. We're going to be there. We're going to be grinding, figuring out this big slate, and dialing in the winners for everyone. So make sure to catch those two shows. And then we got an awesome, as you broke down right before this show, an awesome NFL slate over the weekend. So a lot to look forward to. I believe, I'm just looking up, I'm about to watch the second half of the World Cup game. Is this 0-0?
I didn't even put it on today. I didn't put it on today, so it wouldn't distract me.
The best thing about soccer is, I don't know, if you're actually glued in watching a soccer match, I don't know. There's just not it's the perfect thing to have on, kind of like golf, have on in the background while you're working on other stuff. So, but hopefully U.S. gets a win. That would be real nice, obviously. But yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll be back to the regular schedule next week. The next time you'll see us is a Monday morning. We'll have JC and Tyler on doing another NBA rundown for the people. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. You'll be notified when we go live. Give us that thumbs up. We give you the winners every day, Monday through Friday. Run Pure.